It was suitable enough to find that unselfish love. The soul maintenance, the soil for the soul grows, the seeds are dispersed naturally by all forms. You and your natural agents of the wind, fire, water, life forms that are like the butterfly for the bees, the elephants, and you can find the souls of the breeds, and maybe the threads of life are the contagious enough, and you can never meet or separate rather than exist yourself in the universe and always existed beyond time, beyond subjective vision, and I have learned to love. Love by the definitions of one to be the journey. There's one for the lover and there's one for the always to be loved. Those roads can be flipped from flopped in time to be the case. A requisition to find a reciprocation if one can choose. Complicated for the sometimes I can understand. The very essence of your unconditional or selfless love, which most of the time regarded as a passing phase. Life is the people you can be shackled by the grips of time. Myriad for the manifestation like your age, gender and whatnot, you can find the soulmates of time. Your sex is independent, but they don't beat there, but you are in the eternity. Because both of you can come to contain the parts of your sense of birth until death. Beyond your atoms and your Adam and Eve. You're deeply in love in some with a certain periods of time. Followed by the separation due to your unavoidable circumstances. You can really make the advance for the difference of your soulmates and be the yours in perspective. Irrespective of you being physically present with you and him and her and God. Would be the moments of time for the 5 minutes, for the 5 seconds, for the 5 years until the death of the ring of the fact. Sometimes more than soulmate can be coincidentally equal number for the distribution. A personal amount of intensity for the same time for the different periods of time for the journey of life. A personal purpose, the finding one for the realizing the soul. Actions that to be frustrating, something worse than made to be filled for the various perils of life. Love, temptation, crossing that beyond the various lives. Which road to heaven or the river to the paradise is filled with the stones and battered the flesh, the much for the ash and the soul, for the love, for the beauty, for the whole journey. As for me, a seer is what I am, and the love of a seer is always what it chooses to see. And his soulmate, I know what I have, I love the chosen, this is what I have. The reality of my love is unrequited for the reciprocated, for though I am shackled for such a veil, for the virtual bondage and this new. It's a bond, not a bondage, a bond of age. It's the age of bonding, embedded in me.
It was suitable enough to find that unselfish love. It was suitable enough to find that unselfish love. The soul maintenance, the soil for the soul grows, the seeds are dispersed naturally by all forms.
I was thinking of uncovering soon. It was somehow embedded between my subconscious, a discovery that I wouldn't have to wait long. I was aware that such a part of my existence, and maybe the personal paper purpose of taking the part of the found, the pillars and pen, the building the same. Ignorance of soon taste of love, sweet wine, and I would be enthusiastic for the first time about what was coming. Regular criticism somehow seemed to lose its mask of the fear that I picked up these ways and words of being sincere. Extracted the sin and been more seer. Found out that I had 3 soulmates. This would have been tapped for the extreme, for the benefit, for the embittered, for the which I happen to be, for the influential. I find that for what is all that, for the meant to take the physical form, but divided in two that I didn't quite agree, for it must be defined to find the science and metaphysics of this to be the first love. Pondered over it, later enough for the somewhat and find similar enough relevant. Rather than that my human eyes can see the particular range of your wavelength. When we look in that rainbow, we see the different colors emerging together for distant discoveries. Destroying the beauty for the rainbow and introducing the mathematics and physics into it. Never realized it then, enlightened that. Search the soul for the concepts of love. These 7 colors of the range of the needs to be the 400 for the human eyes are limited to see that range, and there's a certain place of beacon for them to find a butterfly for the ultraviolet rays, and this to be the sort of that for the fruit fly, that you can see the infrared rays coming to humans. It'll be a perspective. Words and actions are never needed to exist. What if we were to continue with the wandering molecules that are solving into space and time, but perception meant seeing, touch, feeling, for the tasting, thinking, anytime, and anywhere for the known and limited body for the senses? What if we were not trapped inside that for the flesh and blood to see the light and rays inside the range of 0 to infinity? We would never see shapes or forms, but only light, like the auras and quantum vibrations of the atoms and molecules composing us. At your core, for the lowest level of the formation of humans, are all forms of life and ambiotics and substance and the same as your molecules. Of the person that dies, you can find that buried beneath their burn. Whatever part of the physical form of the decayed, your decaying the matter for the plant for the grows it washed away by the river, or the lies that for the bear. And bacteria infest that. Your products is formed due to the decaying Anything can happen if you burned up in smoke and may disperse into the air, but they're getting dissolved into the ether. In other words, it goes back to the get manifested in the other universe in another form, but this is the form of energy in your universe, and the energy as a system remains in constant and directly proportional to mass. You are that energy of the universe and has to remain constant. As energy can never be created nor be destroyed, it can be manifested itself in the various forms. Newborns being. 2 newborns, or being are born, or 3 for the 4, for any number you can find the atoms incorporated for the building, and you can find that for the mother, they're taking the child, for the fruit, for the labor, for the vegetable, to plant that for the grown, for the bury the grounds. Atoms are used that for the noun, for the cellular level. Another mother, you can find that for the fielding, for the coming away, you see the river, carrying a minuscule part of the leaf for the eroder of the soil. Carrying a certain number of atoms and bury that for the manso. Similar to hypothetical realities taking place in them, you can find the breathing of the air, coming from ether. Carrying the atoms of the dead, being the various babies are born. Be born again. Now comes that question almost similar to the frequencies, and how many of them do define the complementing of each other, and how many exist that for the certain force called your atomic attractive force, like gravitational, but a smaller scale. It didn't weigh much proportionate to the intensity of the force, and a greater mass, this be the periodic for the greater for the gravitational, you can find that for the container in the cylinder, and a number of other frequencies that you're complementing each law of attraction, falling in love with. Consider to be soul mates, and you're the mate, the part, the soul, the fruit, the who's the mate to disperse with the diamond. You mentioned you're born carrying the parts. Dissimilar for the frequency, you could be the complementary. Number of the people who get infatuated when they think we are in love. Fulfill the due for the unmatched frequencies, and sometimes we fall in love with someone you cannot be unable to reciprocate for that to be contained all that for the compliments. Contains very few numbers of the atoms that you can complement as far greater than the number of atoms and being present. Some of the individuals is only to hear that soul for the soul to converse, and this is the truth for the unable to reciprocate, for you can find the same feelings, and you could be the naturally all forms. You could be the butterfly or the elephant. Maybe the soul made himself to find the threads of love, and you are always contagious. You never meet to separate. Rather than that exists, and this to be existed for the beyond is subjective for the vision, to learn that for the love by definition, only the way with the journey. There's always one lover, there always one to be loved. The roads can be flip-flopped at any time.
I was thinking of uncovering soon.
I was thinking of uncovering soon. I was thinking of uncovering soon. It was somehow embedded between my subconscious, a discovery that I wouldn't have to wait long. I was aware that such a part of my existence, and maybe the personal paper purpose in taking the part of the found, the pillars and pen, the building the same. Ignorance will soon taste of love, sweet wine, and I would be enthusiastic for the first time about what was coming. Regular criticism somehow seemed to lose its mask of the fear that I picked up these ways and words of being sincere. Extracted the sin and been more seer. Found out that I had 3 soulmates. This would I've been tapped for the extreme, for the middle, for the ability, for the which I happen to be, for the influential. I find that what was all that for the meant to take the physical form, but divided in 2 that I didn't quite agree, for it must be defined to find the science and metaphysics of this to be the first love. Pondered over it, later enough for the somewhat and find similar enough relevant. Rather than not my human eyes can see the particular range of your wavelength. When we look in that rainbow, we see the different colors emerging together for distant discoveries. Destroying the beauty for the rainbow and introducing the mathematics and physics into it. Never realized it then, enlightened that. Search the soul for the concepts of love. These 7 colors of the range of the needs to be the 400 for the human eyes are limited to see that range, and this is a certain place to be to find a butterfly for the ultraviolet rays, and this to be the sort of that for the fruit fly that you can see the infrared rays coming to humans. It'll be a perspective. Words and actions are never needed to exist. What if we were to continue with the wandering molecules that are solving into space and time, but perception meant seeing, touch, feeling, for the tasting, thinking, anytime, and anywhere for the known, the limited body for the senses? What if we were not trapped inside that for the flesh and blood to see the light and rays inside the range of 0 to infinity? We would never see shapes or forms, but only light, like the auras and quantum vibrations of the atoms and molecules composing us. At your core, for the lowest level, the formation of humans, all forms of life and antibiotics and substance in the same as your molecules. And the person that dies, you can find that buried beneath their burn. Whatever part of the physical form of the decay, your decay, the matter for the plant for the growth, and washed away by the river, or the lies that for the buried. And bacteria infest that. Your products is formed due to the decaying. Anything can happen if you burned up in smoke and may disperse into the air, but they're getting dissolved into the ether. In other words, it goes back to the get manifested in the other universe in another form, but this is the form of energy in your universe, and the energy of the system remains in constant and directly proportional to mass. You are that energy of the universe and has to remain constant. As energy can never be created nor be destroyed, it can be manifested itself in the various forms. Newborns being two newborns, or being or born, or three for the four, for any number you can find the atoms incorporated for the building. You can find that for the mother, they're taking the child, for the fruit, for the labor, for the vegetable, to plant that for the grown, for the bury the grounds. Atoms are used that for the noun, for the cellular level. Another mother, but you can find that for the fielding, for the coming away. You see the river carrying a minuscule part of the leaf for the eroder of the soil, carrying a certain number of atoms to bury that for the mantle. Similar to the hypothetical reality taking place in them, you can find the breathing of the air coming from ether, carrying the atoms to the dead, being the various babies are born. Be born again. Now comes that question, almost similar to the frequencies and do how many of them will define the complementing of each other, and how many exist that for the certain force called your atomic attractive force, like gravitational, but a smaller scale. It didn't weigh much proportional to the intensity of the force, and the greater mass, this be the big body for the greater for the gravitational. You can find that for the container and the cylinder. Remember other frequencies that you're complementing it. Law of attraction, falling in love with. Consider to be soul mates, and you're the meat, the part, the soul, the fruit, who's the mate to disperse with the diamond. You mentioned you're born carrying the parts. Dissimilar for the frequency, you could be the complementer. Remember the people who get infatuated when they think we are in love. Fulfill the due for the unmatching frequencies, and sometimes we fall in love with someone you cannot be unable to reciprocate for that to be contained all that for the compliments. It contains very few numbers of the atoms that you can complement us far greater than the number of atoms of me being present. Some of the individuals is only to hear that soul for the soul to converse, and this is the truth for the unable to reciprocate, for you can find the same feelings, and you can be the naturally all forms. You could be the butterfly or the elephant. Maybe the soul made himself to divine the threads of love, and you are always contagious. You never need to separate, rather than that exist. This would be existed for the beyond is subjective for the vision. To learn that for the love by definition, the only don't wait one way the journey. There's always one lover, there always one to be loved. The roads can be flip-flopped at any time. love.